for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
Good evening, welcome along to the Fans Forum on NUFC Matters, and it is another week starting on NUFC Matters, and it's good evening to Barry, George, Alan, Tom, Magnus, a return to the show for Al Walid, Pablo, Jeff, and Darren. And can we just start by wishing Mozza in the chat, who is currently on holiday, a very happy birthday, Mozza.
Happy birthday, Mozza.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mozza. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, everybody. Very good. Good start. I think that'll be the latest and happiest part of the show because here we are. 28 days to go till the transfer window closes and the saga continues. Most up-to-date news that came from Sky only about half an hour ago was that Isak, of course, as we know, reported the training ground today. Nobody else there at St James's Park's Newcastle United's training ground, of course. He has apparently gone in for a bit of treatment of that minor thigh injury that's become rather infamous. And no news on the deal. Liverpool, of course, playing a game at Anfield today, 3-0. They are beating Athletic Club at the minute. And it's no news is good news on the Isak front at the moment. As for Sesko, all rumours and conjecture, nothing of any significance coming out about that, if I'm perfectly honest. Even Sky clutching at straws, because everything that you listen to on there is very, very, it's all coming from a source here and a source there. There's nothing coming from the player or either of the clubs. It's agent driven at the moment. The media are choosing to listen to what they want to listen to. Newcastle, as we know, have made a bid. That bid was being looked at and considered. It hadn't been rejected. There was talk of it being, the deal could maybe be, rejigged and looked at again. And, then the interest, which has been drummed up by the media, has to be said, from Manchester United. We don't know whether it's accurate or not. Manchester United, we know at this moment in time, have not placed a bid for Sesko. If you believe the media, they're saying that they are getting ready to place a bid, but at the moment, no guarantees that they will. Some say that they may have to sell to buy. Others saying that they can sell once they buy Sesko. But current players at Manchester United aren't very keen on leaving, even though they're not playing or training alone. So an interesting one, obviously, with Sesko. We will have to wait and see what happens with that. Johan Wissa, of course, we've spoken about Johan Wissa on here. The news coming out of Brentford, according to Sky, is that Brentford expect him to turn up for training tomorrow, but their sources are saying that he does not intend to train. He wants to go to Newcastle United. He wants that deal to happen, and he is going to refuse to train again tomorrow. So whether that's that deal can be sorted, who knows? In the income box, as far as Brentford are concerned, they are looking at bringing a forward in. They have been chasing Hutchison from Ipswich for the last few weeks. They seem to be struggling with that kind of deal as well. They'll be probably not keen on losing Hutchinson after losing Delap. But Brentford are certainly pushing forward to try and bring a forward in. It's again, according to the sources that Sky are speaking to, they've basically said that Brentford have almost accepted that they're going to lose Wissa in this window. And at the moment, touch wood, nobody seems to be coming in for Wissa other than Newcastle. Brentford's sticking point with Newcastle's the fee, I think. They would probably want a little bit more money, but we will have to wait and see what happens there. Newcastle linked with Ramos, of course, another one who, again, you have a feeling that that's plan E if Sesko fails. Newcastle may be going, or is that a bit of gamesmanship on Newcastle's behalf? And given the deadline to Leipzig and saying if you don't do this deal, we'll move on to Ramos within 48 hours. Is that part of that strategy? Well, only Newcastle United know. Other incomings, potential incomings, Van Heck. There you go, Stu. You'll be happy that I got the pronunciation correct this time. Is essentially on Newcastle's radar, according to Brighton's version of the Evening Chronicle. He doesn't want to sign a new contract with Brighton. He's looking at his options. He would like to look to get another move in the Premier League. Newcastle are the only club at this minute that have been linked with that particular job. As for outgoings, well, obviously we know we've had a couple of big names already gone. But the other one that is being linked today is our goalkeeper, Mark Dubravka, who has been linked now with a move to Burnley. Nothing concrete, no formal move or bid yet. But according to Sky, again, that is a name that is top of Burnley's list. So that's it. You're up to date with transfers ins and outs. That's the rumour mill that is circulating on Sky. Nothing really concrete coming from my go-to on X, which of course is Craig Hope. A few podcasts. If you haven't had time to catch up with Craig's stuff, catch up with it. The stuff from Soul's been absolutely brilliant. Well, given that a watch. Okay then, Barry. So here we are. 28 days till the end of the transfer window. It's pretty much all or nothing, and as you were since we all last spoke. How are you feeling, Barry? Are you still tearing your hair out?
Well, I was saying to the guys there before, Steve, the two bits that I've heard today is obviously the gaffer, the chairman's supposedly in town, and whether that's true or not, that he's in Newcastle. And the story that I heard was that he's asked or wants to speak to Isaac's representatives to basically get it sorted out, and told the rumours are that within the next 48 hours there'll be an official decision on Isaac, which I think is good. Regardless of which way it goes, it needs sorting. And the other one I was reading up on was the fact that we have pretty much what you said there, that we've told Sesko and Leipzig that they've got 48 hours for us to sort the deal out, or else we're moving on to somebody else, which I know might not be great because he might be the player that a lot of people want, but I think that's what we should have been doing all along. We should have been going in, making a reasonable bid for somebody, saying, right, you've got however long to decide. If you're not prepared to take the offer, we'll move on to somebody else. And it would have stopped a lot of clubs from sniffing around, when we've been looking at the same bloody player for weeks on weeks on weeks and faffing about. And then you've had whoever come in, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, whoever come sniffing around for the same players that we have. Why we haven't been doing that all along. Instead of prattling about and saying, right, you want 35 million for him, we'll bid 28. And then waiting weeks, and then somebody coming in at the last minute and bidding more. Why didn't we just say, right, how much do you want? 35. Well, he's worth that, so we'll bid it. Let's have him. It seems to work for other teams that don't mess about with these whole bloody lower than expected transfer fees bids. Is that why we're missing out on so many people? Because we're giving clubs the chance to come in and outbid us. well, not outbid us on price, but certainly outbid us on wages. The longer we leave it, everybody in the Premier League seems to be able to bid more wages than we are. You know, it just seems to be our one absolute disaster area. That as soon as anybody else is interested, the wages are so much more substantial. Whether they've got, I mean, for me in the recent seasons, the sell of Champions League football was always a huge thing to get players on side. That seems to have gone in the bin. I mean, why the hell somebody want to go into Man U when, yes, he's going to be offered a huge increase in wages, but he's not going to have Champions League football. He's got the teams all over the shop, but they've still got this huge pull compared to what we have. And it's got to be, it's greed on the players' behalf. It's got to be. That's the only thing they can offer players that we haven't got at the minute. And it's just, we making a rod for our own backs. And I know we say, you've said this so many times, Steve, that it's all rumours. We don't know who Newcastle have actually bid for and, you know, who was actually on their lists of players that they wanted. But there's so many times where we're supposedly getting to the last hurdle and then somebody's outbid us at the last minute. Some of them have got to be true. You know what I mean? There's got to be. I honestly believe some of these players we have genuinely been looking at now when we're falling on our face every single time. And I was listening to you guys yesterday. I think Stu and certainly Sir Keith made so much sense yesterday when they were talking about the financial side of things and obviously all the stuff with PSR and everything else. It's an absolute shit show at the minute. It's just we need to pull ourselves together. And for me, I've always had faith in the Saudis being top businessmen, top of their field in what they do. And I feel like the people who are running the club for them are letting them down badly because they're making themselves look as though they don't know what they're doing. And I just wonder how much longer the Saudis will put up with it. Because it cannot be good for somebody of their standing and the great reputation that they've got for doing business to have an absolute shit show like this going on every week. But I don't know. I mean, I agree with what Darren said before. I wanted to see more people in by now. I think to be at this stage and getting Ramsdale on a loan and getting Elanga in is an absolute farce. We could have had 3 or 4 players in by now, but we seem to be faffing about, Steve, and it all seems to be revolving around the issue that we've got with wages.
Okay. Thanks, Barry. George.
Yes, Steve.
Thoughts on the last couple of days?
Well, the last couple of days, the best thing to come out of it is Eddie Howe's statement today. Thank God somebody's got some integrity, and that's our manager. And he managed to say it without swearing once, which is a rarity for any football manager. So it's not just his integrity, but the fact that he's so erudite. We should praise the Lord that he's our manager. Also, the good news for me is that the chairman's actually here doing things. And my understanding is he's actually asked to meet with Isak and his representatives tomorrow and move things on. I don't think it's any accident that we've told Sissoko's representatives they've got 40 hours either. Sesko or all that, but so that that's great. The other thing is that I'm hacked off about is we got the same squad that we had when the season finished. What's happened is one player spit his dummy out. What about the other 24? And anybody that watched the game yesterday against Spurs, particularly the second half, could see that the other 24 are well and truly up for it. It was some great stuff. And the equaliser from Barnes, if that had been on normal TV, it would have been all over the television. It was a fantastic move. Nearly every player touched the ball before Barnes vaulted into the back of the net. All of that goes unseen because of what's happening with Isak. So I'm not down in the dumps in that sense, because I'm seeing what I wanted to see is the smiles on the faces on the pitch, the fact that they're still doing what they're capable of doing, and having the confidence to know that Eddie Howe will get them to do it again. So, let's sort the Isak thing out. But don't let's kill everybody else because of one man. And if Liverpool come up with 150 million offer, well, goodbye.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about the source for this particular message about the chairman. I mean, there was an image of the chairman seemingly in the Northeast a couple of days ago, and but I've not seen any confirmation of him being in the Northeast to sort out the Isak situation. And certainly Pete Graves, who is taking a bit of time off from Sky Sports in the studio, is planted up there all day today, and he basically said that, well, we saw the footage. Isak came, Isak went. Nobody else of any significance went to the training ground. So if it's tomorrow, we will wait and see. But you'd imagine that any conversations with the player would take place with the agent, and you would imagine as well with the coach. You would imagine that Eddie Howe would be part of this process with Alexander Isak. But yeah, confirmation today that Alexander Isak was simply up there getting treatment for his injury. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. Big day tomorrow, of course. And Wednesday, I think the rest of the players are in. The whole team won't be until Wednesday. I think obviously the back, a lot of players back tomorrow, but I think that's what Pete Graves mentioned today. Anyway, Alan, how are you feeling a week later? What's your feelings?
Well, lads, as normal, we're in turmoil in the sense of, Eddie Howe. I totally agree what George said about his statement. I think we've got a hell of a manager, and we want to thank our lucky stars for that. Where I disagree with George strongly is we've stood still for 18 months, George, and these players are getting older and older and older. And this time next year, will it not be Tonali's turn to say, I want to go, with the squad not getting better? That's the thing. It's a true saying, George, if you stand still for 18 months, you get left behind. And if we don't
How many cups did we win last year? How many cups did we win last year?
We won one.
But what, George, you want to win more? So you need
I want to win another one, George, the following year, and I want to win 2. And that's the problem, George, is throughout our history, since I've supported them, the major players with ambition have wanted to go and left in the lurch. And I thought them days were gone, but obviously not, because we're not being able to compete on wages with the PSR. But where we're lacking is leadership. And with the not having Darren Eales now going and Paul Mitchell, there's a big vacuum, and Eddie Howe's been left to keep the boat afloat. And so we're left with this scenario where we're struggling to sign players in the last 3.5 weeks of the window. I want to see players coming in like we all do on this panel, but I want to see direction from the club. I want to see where we're going direction, because when I say about players that might perform, can you honestly say, George, that we'll finish in the top 4 with any confidence? I can't. Not at the minute. Not with any confidence, because the top 4 and 5 has strengthened massively. And the other 14 clubs, like one comment said, have been left behind. So I'm not confident at all about next season. As it stands now, it's only Eddie Howe that's keeping the ship afloat in my eyes. Isaac situation, again, I said off air, it'll sicken me, George, and I think it'll sicken everybody here. Within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Isaac will be wearing a red top on, as far as I'm concerned. I don't want it to happen, George. I want him to stay here, but I think it'll happen unless we sign. And the only thing that will stop it is if we don't sign a striker going forward. And he'll be announced as the saviour of Liverpool, and they'll go on to win a lot more trophies. And where will that leave us? 4th or 5th, just on the outside, looking in all the time until we sort this at the leadership top. I hope it's true about Xisco. We've given them 48 hours to make a decision, because you know yourself, and everybody does on this panel, Man United are just waiting there like a vulture to pounce and take them off with. So on the positive side, I agree with you, George. We've got a tremendous squad, and we've only got 3 or 4 players short of challenging the top 3. And that's just the pressing thing for me is I can see this happening year in, year out, unless we sort ourselves out at the very top of the club. I'll let Tom get on, but at the minute as it stands, I am low. I cannot deny it. I hope things change in the next 3.5 weeks, but I wish I shared your optimism, George, but I don't. But I'm hoping for the best, like we all do, and I want to win another trophy next year, George.
Let's just reiterate as well that a new sporting director and a new CEO won't suddenly help our problems evaporate, Alan.
No.
It's going to take another 5 or 6 or 7 years, and as we improve our financial situation, Man United, Chelsea, etc., get bigger and bigger and better, and can have windows like this. So we are already behind. We're always going to be. It's always going to be the tortoise in the hare here, but ultimately, from our perspective, we can still compete if if the rules change, and if Man City's hearing results became public knowledge and there was a positive in there for us, we might be able to do stuff. But Tom, hi mate, how are you feeling? 7 days on, not much has changed really, other than the signing on loan, of course, of another goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper, it has to be said.
Well, I had my grandsons, 9, 12, 15 here for the last week. And if I can survive that, Newcastle can survive this Isaac thing. I promise you that my life was a little bit more hectic, and I'm just cutting over it. But I wake up at about 5 every morning, which is a 6-hour difference. It's about 11 o'clock a.m. in Newcastle. And the first thing I do is I look at my phone to see what transfer has happened overnight, what's the latest news, etc. And I say I'm not going to get too excited, but I do every single window, look at it first thing, and then I'm disappointed, and I go through, all the rumor mills and everything else. And it wears on you. I'm as positive as it can get, but it just wears on you that we haven't made the signings that we could or should have made by now, especially when Eddie gave us the warning that we need to be quick about it. We have to do these things fast and hit the ground running. And it just seems that it's incapable of happening at Newcastle, whether that is PIF doesn't give the people authority in Newcastle. Maybe it has to go through Saudi. Maybe that delay is causing us not to be very quick and nimble. And you have to be quick and nimble when you have so many good clubs competing for the best players. Or maybe it's just the lack of leadership. We hired the wrong people. Maybe Eels wasn't the guy. We all can agree that Mitchell wasn't the guy. But I feel for Eddie. Eddie's always the one that has to get in front of the camera. Eddie's always the one that has to answer the tough questions. Eddie's always the one that has to, try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. So yeah, so a little disappointing. With that said, let's not get that too down. I'm looking at my calendar here on my computer. It says it's August 4th. You know what? We got a good 3.5 weeks before the window closes. So a lot can happen in 3.5 weeks. I'm hoping that the chairman does meet with Isaac and the representatives, and I would assume that Eddie would be there, as you mentioned, because I want him to make a real hard pitch about how he should go to Saudi Arabia and play football, so that we can have 150 million pounds plus come into Newcastle and stay him the hell away from the Scouse bastards over there on the East Coast or the West Coast. I mean, so I am. With that said, is you bring in 150 million quid. Again, that could be amortized over a long time, or over 5 years, which means that is a lot of money that we can spend, not just this year, but over the next 5 years. And Isaac's contract was almost all amortized already. I mean, I think there's only 30 million maybe on that contract. So that's 120 million quid in the kitty that would be life-changing for this organization. So I'm really hoping he's out the door. I'm hoping that we get a fair market value for him. And I'm hoping that the club can somehow stop being a lowballing, patient people. And as I think Barry said, go after it. Give him 48 hours. Hey, we have a fair number. We're offering a fair number. This is your asking price. And let's go and make this happen. So I wanted to say that as far as the transfers. But as George said, the Newcastle team that I saw yesterday morning, it was on 6 a.m. here, was a different team than the two that we saw earlier. Gordon looked up for the races. He is a legit backup number 9 in a pinch. I thought Barnes looked good. I thought Bruno looked really good. And Big Dan hasn't lost a beat. He doesn't look like he's the 33-year-old guy. I thought he really played well. And then you see Hall get back on the pitch, really positive there. Joe Linton, I thought, had a very good game. He grew into the game. He lost the ball a couple of times, but then he really did grow into the game. And this kid, Stu Park, looks like the real deal. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a steal for what we got. So there's a lot of positives. So I'm going to concentrate on the football. I'm not going to pick up this stupid phone. I say that every day. I'll be picking up this phone tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., seeing what happens. But I think that we can really change things. It can happen the next couple of weeks. The thing we need to do is not dick around with Isaac, is either get him the hell out the door or get him to make a statement to the fans. But it can't be nothing. We need to hear something from the player, and we need to hear something from someone besides Eddie in the organization, because totally it's just not that person.
Totally agree, Tom. Totally agree,
okay.
Tom.
Okay, Magnus, your feelings a week on?
Yeah, this has been swings and roundabouts, man. I mean, one moment I'm hoping for professionalism and that they'll sit down and move on with 3 strikers. You know, the idea of having both Sesko and Isak, sounds great to me, and I don't see anything wrong with having 2 really strong strikers being battling on 4 fronts. But obviously that doesn't look that way. And, 1 minute I'm hoping for him to stay, and then the next one I am just preparing for life without him. And I'm coming to terms with the fact that he may not have a future with the club. And I mean, it's obviously going to come clear in the next few days. I should be careful what I say, because at least he showed up and took 3 hours at the club today, and I think it's a good sign. But like it's been said a lot, it's become a cliche. No player is bigger than the club, and I was on a podcast last week on a big media, and I dropped a little bit of a bomb there, and we'll just see what happens. I want to suggest a player that could replace him, and of course he comes from my Icelandic national team, and he's been linked with us before, and And now, he's also been linked with Pep Guardiola's Man City as a backup or a future replacement for Erling Haaland. So there's got to be a lot of potential there. I've watched him with my own eyes here at the national team, and he had a fantastic game against Montenegro and Wales this winter. So the guy that I'm talking about is Orri Óskarsson, and he comes from the same direction as Alexander Isak did. And I don't know, with it being a big media, I may have turned his head the other day, because it just sounded like a great headline. They want Óskarsson instead of Isak was the headline here, and it was the most read news report for a little while, because maybe they thought it was coming from a different source than just me. But Orri Óskarsson is a strong player that has been scoring a lot of goals for Real Sociedad, mostly in the Europa League. I think if we're looking for a no-nonsense player that has a bright future, he's only 20 years old. Why don't we have a little look at that? Because we already have a great relationship with Real Sociedad after a few businesses that happened between the two clubs. Marino is one of them, and obviously Isak. So there's a relationship between the two clubs, and we have a really great player there on our hands. And it would be a steal to take him now just before he becomes a superstar. So have a serious look at that, guys.
Okay, thanks, Magnus. You've woken up somebody's pup and you've blown up somebody's speakers, so that's all good. No change with you, mate. Al-Walid, welcome back. Good to see you, my friend. What is your take on recent developments at St James's Park? The transfer window, my friend, has brought doom and gloom, as you can hear, to your fellow panel members.
Good evening, lads. Happy to be with you as always. It's an unusual situation for Newcastle, but this is usually also happens with the clubs, but it wasn't expected at this time. Me and my friends, we scrolled the wages of other clubs, especially the top six, and we noticed that difference. So we come to conclusion that if we want, of course, to keep the best players, we have to find a way for these wages. For me, it's weird that I know the BIF and Jimmy Rubin, they like to work in silence, but just for me, it's weird to not hearing anything from Darren Eales or anyone at the club. And we all hear the leaks from Craig Hope. And these leaks from Craig Hope, I don't think it's leaks. I think Craig Hope now, I believe he's working for the club, in my opinion. That's good. At least we hear something.
Right.
Still, we have 4 weeks. I think a lot it will happen. I'm sure that Newcastle will not go to the season because this season is special after we win the Carabao Cup and Champions League season. Of course, we are going to be strong. It's just because we are in the dark, we are worried. So a message from the club, I think, and not just the message, also an actions. And I think the action we're gonna hear in the coming 2 weeks, I believe, will give us a big relief. About the 48 hours, I'm not really depend on the journalist who says this 48 hours, but because I recall, I didn't remember a club saying, okay, you have 48 hours or 24 hours for our offer. This is not usually works. So I didn't believe it's happening in first place because usually it doesn't work. It's kind of not against threatened, but if you said you have 24 hours, this is just like don't know what's the word. It's just dignity. It's like for for person dignity or something. I don't believe in that. I feel optimistic, regardless what we have hearing and read. We have to wait.
Okay, good stuff, Alwaleed. Good to have you back on the show. I'll be jumping on Alwaleed's podcast very, very shortly in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to that. And yeah, always fun jumping on Alwaleed's channel. Good to have you on, mate. Pablo, good evening. How are you feeling?
A little bit meh, if that's the right way to put it. I think when we were discussing last week, I think ultimately in my gut, I knew that this Isak thing was going to be a goer. And I think as the weeks progressed, I think it's become plainly obvious to us all where he wants to be and where he probably will end up being. I think obviously we feel like it's a kick in the gut, but I think what we've got to be here is be careful not being too hypocritical, because we're expecting the same situation to happen at Brentford and we take one of their strikers, and we can't be hypocritical and then be all happy-dappy when Wissa turns up at our place when he's pretty much doing what he's actually doing to us. Yeah. I guess that is football, today. If we could fast forward back to the 90s, that's when true footballers were still on the pitch with a little bit of loyalty and passion. And yeah, we have got a few of them at our club and we know who they are, but we've just got to accept it. There's no point in getting too upset about it. I mean, I was pretty damn miffed off last week, but it's going to happen, and it's going to happen for the next 5 or 6 years until we eventually, fingers crossed, propel ourselves into the very top table. Because at the minute we're being fed on by everyone else. I keep saying, football's just a food chain, but we're not kind of swimming in the right pools at the minute or fishing in the right pools. But I think with this guy Sesko, deals take as long as they take. You can't in football, if there's 70 million quid on the table, you can't go throwing your toys around saying I want it by then, you want it by then. A deal takes as long as it takes. So for me, with the Sesko thing, yes, I do think he's holding out. And why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't you sit there? If you look at this as a business deal or a job opportunity as a working man, if you've got 3 opportunities, you want to sit down and thoroughly think about it. So I wouldn't get too upset the fact that he's not on a plane to Tyneside tonight because we've said 48 hours or someone said 48 hours. So for me, he would still remain a target. There's a lot of kind of mixed opinions on this lad Sesko, but he's exactly what I would want as my striker. And when we discussed Isak a couple of times, I've said the one thing that I wish Isak had was a little bit more physicality. Sesko's got that. So maybe he would be, give him a year or so, maybe he would be an amazing striker. The lad Ramos from PSG, I don't think he's ever had a great deal of opportunity to play week in, week out, has he? He seems to be a bit more of a potent hitman that comes on, and steals goals. So I don't know, mate. It's as regards recruitment as well. Yes, a bit miffed off with the way things are going, but we identified as pretty much as a panel that the start of this season we wanted a goalkeeper of a certain quality. We wanted a centre back, a right wing, and a striker. So just forget the Isak situation. We've got 50% of what we wanted. Ramsdale, for me, I'm a big fan. I'm hoping he's going to do good things. Alanga, he looks all right. He looks promising. He's exactly what we want. So, Chuck, I think another thing that I'd highlighted as well, I know I mentioned the Wissa thing and somebody mentioned in the chat. I think what it highlights to me is how professional Mark Gay was last year when we unsettled him at Palace with a decent bid. We wanted him. That lad's just gone and cracked on about his business. So for me, I'd still be pushing the Mark Gay thing. He's another one that I'm a big fan of. I've listened to him speak on interviews. He just seems the right character for Eddie. Ramsdale's interview I thought was decent. He looks like he's genuinely pleased to be here and not just going through the usual rhetoric and crap that you have to reel out as a new signing. So for me, exciting in that sense. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I'm just as jacked off as everyone else on this panel. And I think George nailed it with the Mitchell thing. I mean, that's Einstein's definition of madness, isn't it? I mean, you look at his CV and think, well, why would it all change when he comes here? He's just an absolute journeyman, a moneyman, and never sticks around. So, yes, the owners need to take heed from that and choose a little bit more wisely in future, which hopefully they have done with these guys coming in. But, yeah, just as flat as you lot, lads. But you know, we'll just roll it on. Tom, if I were you, mate, I'd check your phone on the 1st of September, pal. Get yourself a few hours in bed. Other than that, mate, what's on the menu, Al Walid? It looks good.
That's his copy back. That's his copy background.
Right. No, yeah, I'll leave it there, lads. I'm same as you. I'm just living day by day in the vain hope that something big drop. But you know, if I can see what's going to happen, I'm going to go negative for 1 second. I can see what's going to happen. We'll get no forward line in. It'll be Anthony Gordon up front, chucking his cell around all over the floor. I prefer to go with Big Joe Linton up front and get Michael Antonio in for 12 months. But there you go. That's off the cuff. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, Denise, I mean, somebody put it in the chat, the situation. If Newcastle, Newcastle did approach Brentford, they made an offer for Wissa. And in his contract, it does stipulate that if a team comes in that can offer him Champions League football, he should be allowed to talk to them. Brentford haven't allowed that to happen. That is the line that came out of that initial bid by Newcastle. But Newcastle, of course, bid 25 million. Brentford won 40 million. And of course,
Steve, can I just say one more bit?
Yeah.
I think what I have heard, and I don't know how you lads feel about this, and I think I can gauge your reaction by what you've said. George mentioned Eddie's interview today. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on that. But what I have heard Eddie say in the past 2, 3, 4 days when it's all been unraveling is that hopefully things can be sorted and we see Alexander in a black and white shirt again. That is absolutely not what we want, Eddie, at all. And I'm sure I know what he's doing. He's playing the PR game, but I don't know how you lads feel, but that is the last thing I would want to see. I'd rather...
Yeah. This latest statement yesterday. It was yesterday. I mean, it's been circulated today, but it was after the press. It was after the game yesterday, where he was speaking to the press, and he was just very honest, you know.
Yeah.
And he made a big point of saying that we are Newcastle United, and you know that you can't behave you can't behave unprofessionally and expect to be training with the first team. So I think that basically told him before he comes back into training Tuesday, Wednesday, that he potentially could be training on his own. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
It's worth looking at, Pablo. It's a lot more than that. It's worth looking.
Yeah, we'll do, mate.
Yeah, but he, you know, in a nutshell, without going through the whole statement, he just clearly stipulated that Newcastle are united. We are Newcastle United, and you know, there's no place for players who aren't completely bought into the project, which is what sadly has happened with Alexander Isak now, having his head turned. Okay, stand by your beds. We don't know which direction the show is going to go into now. Here's Jeff.
Oh, good evening. Or good afternoon. Yes. Well, they say in the city, sell in May and go away. And in Fleet Street, it's known as the silly season. Okay? But what it really is the cricket season, right? And we have just watched a fabulous game of cricket. The Indians won in the end. We lost, but it was great. Everyone was there, dressed up, mixing together, drinking, having a great time, playing instruments, dancing. Wow, what a game, you know? And it's why I like football. And one of the mysteries I've come across was watching, and it's perhaps a question to ask the milkman, as to why cricket, football, and hockey all have 11 players. Anyway, moving on. Right. I went to find out what was going on with Isak, and I don't trust the journalist around here, so I asked Huggy Bear, right, and he reckoned that Isak was off to a real sociopath, and he was going to join ETA and become a terrorist. But anyway, I'm not sure.
Just hold on a second, Jeff. Jeff's views are not necessarily NUFC Matters views.
Oh, sorry. Yes, no,
we do not support any organisations or promote any organisations of any terrorist organisations, anything like that.
Yes, not even the people who find me in Hexham we call Hezbollah parking. Anyway, right. Anyway,
dear.
Let's get. One of the problems I've got is we're all going to have to get these new shirts and get our names on it. 16 quid's worth a name, by the way. And in the old days, we had Smith, Jones, Connolly, Dawson, Milligan, Sellers, Bird, and Fortune, all fine comedians, all of them. And have you seen the new shirt? They're all promoting it in the dark. All the guys are stood there in the dark, right? Well, wow, it's just really spooky. Like they're standing around at some sort of bizarre nightclub. And if you actually go and look in the shop, it is a horrible mixture of lime green, yes, and avocado green, like the last bath in the shop green, right? And it's guaranteed to make anybody's skin color look terrible, right? It's really awful. Right. So over in America, Pablo, the maker of the world's largest fireworks has got together with Liverpool's favourite Australian and set on President Microdong, and all hell is breaking loose over there. And on the subject of presidents, by the way, JFK, who I mentioned last week as being the low point of the club, was a PT boat captain, and during the war he had PT boat 109, and he famously won a victory at Blackett Strait. And as you probably all know, Blackett Street in Newcastle is named after that victory. Right. So, I would want to talk about some of the things that you can do at the moment in the media. You can go on YouTube and you can listen to Tom Sharp's Wilt. You can watch Wilt, Smith and Jones, by the way, fantastic. And there's a book of Tom Sharp about the Northeast, about Northumberland, called The Throwback, which is very good, right? And currently on the iPlayer, you can watch The Wicker Man, and you can get to see Britt Ekland's butt, apparently, or so it was said, which leads me to the story about Rod Stewart, right? Years ago, I put on a gig for Rod Stewart, right? And there's a reason Kit is black. And his stuff was all white. Right, and what I hate, every morning we had to come in and scrub Ronnie Lane's duckwall off the stage because his brothel creepers had left these horrible marks all across the stage. Those were the days. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to sign any player that's named after a router or after a Ninja Turtle, strangely enough. Now, the last thing I could tell you is that news about the stadium has been leaked to me on Grindr. And there's going to be a Stu Penman Memorial dog track. We're going to have animatronic pigeons in the Gallagher roof. There's going to be a sitting section for the incontinents among us, and both singing and humming sections for those who don't want to commit too much. And the last thing I want to tell you is, please remember Speedo and Thorpe, okay? And in the words of the master, I tell you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but I'm too late.
Jeff, thank you for your amazing take on Newcastle United. Darren is awake now.
Hello, Darren.
How are you, Darren?
Well, that's why we're the four asleep. You're like being back at school, isn't it? Absolutely nonsense. Right, but just get back to the proper subject. Let's talk about football, but we are for the real reason. I can completely agree with Alan.
Not Jeff.
So anyway, if your team do good one year, you want to do better next year. And sorry, Joel, I disagree with you massively. Yes, we've got 22 players, but them 22 players, the average 22 players. But 24, sorry. We've got rid of Longstaff. We've got nothing in for him. You cannot rely on Miley. He's an average player. So
in your opinion,
but you had your opinion. Can I have my opinion? So, like, my opinion is Miley is the average player, and the players we've got now, you need if you like say, Boy Robson said it before we come on. If you want to do better next year, you need to re-strengthen for next year. and up to now we have not. So like that's the worrying thing, and that's what a lot of Newcastle fans are saying. So I talk to knows football, they're saying we haven't strengthened. So look, your Arsenal, your Chelsea, your Liverpool have all strengthened. So we've got at the minute we've got kind of hell's chance finishing in the top 4. So if we cannot, Isak goes to Liverpool, he goes to Liverpool. But if we do not get a replacement in for Isak, we cannot sell him no matter what. And Eddie Howe said to start this before the transfer window open, we need to be quick with our business. We're done far from that. We're a country mile away from anything else. Get another goalkeeper which is badly needed, and get one player like the right wing we did need for competition for Murphy. But we said at the start of the season, like Pablo said, we need a centre back, a striker, and another midfield player. We couldn't need one in. So from up to now, next season, I can only say it's finished 10 for 11 if we're lucky. Unless we got players in now, you may get well, but you look at your top team, their players are in, and they're already they are settling in the squad. We want to get players in, got to get settled in Newcastle, get the household in. So at the minute, we're a mile away, and yes, we are doing the gloom. I can't. We're only human. We PRC and take the money's yours. Like we want to see entertaining football. We're not going to get entertaining football season. It's going to be a shite season in my eyes. This season might have a meter after the Champions League. Eh? And I was great team, no, George. Tottenham's not a great team. Bruno gave the ball away a few times. I don't think they were great yesterday, George. And I mean, we're average. We're done all right. But you can tell Gordon's not a forward. You can't rely on Gordon being a centre forward. He's a winger. They're holding the ball long. He can't win in the ball here for shite. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, we need to put a forward who can challenge the ball in the air. Gordon's a winger. Everybody knows that. He's not a centre forward. He can't be a centre forward for shit. So, and I don't think we're fantastic yesterday. We're doing all right. But we've lost the other games, George. Like, so what? You're going to say okay after one game? What about the other games?
Well, we're lucky in the Arsenal game because we played quite well.
I know, but they won. That's the friend, and yes, it's just a friendly. But when the season kick off, they're going to be so competitive. We're going to be anywhere near them. But the players have got, because you've got Fabian Shaw and Dan Burn are not the quickest. They don't get better. They don't get faster. They get slower. The fact you've had the two. So Dan Burn and Shaw, you've had them for 2 to 3 seasons now. You need some young centre halves coming in now. You've got the cell over a year cut. I don't know how. So I think you've got Botman. We've got 3 centre halves. To me, are absolutely no good. We need to get new players in, and it's just, to me, it's like, what do the club know what they're doing? I don't think they do. And like, see, they're not talking to Newcastle fans. They're quick to take your Champions League money off you, like send emails about your service and all that. You want to get on Newcastle United? Yeah, Steve.
Okay, good stuff from everybody tonight. We've got 6 or 7 minutes left. We won't be doing the fans forum next Monday. I'm having a week off, so I am going to ask the lads rather early. It's only a week early, but I'm going to ask where you think you're going to be at the end of the season. What does next season hold? Are we going to be in a Champions League position? Are we going to win something next season? It's going to be an interesting question, this, because obviously the transfer window doesn't close till the 2nd. But I always ask this usually the week before the weekend of the season kicking off, and our next fans forum will be after the first game of the season. So. Darren, you've already said 10th, which is what you said at the
if we didn't get anybody, I think we need realistically, but with Isak's situation, if he goes upstairs at this current time after transfer window, after this thing.
Well, let's ask this question now, and then when the transfer window closes, The first in the first week of September. We'll ask
Fair.
the question again. So try and remember what answer you've given. So you're going 10th, Darren. Do you think we'll win it? Do you think we've got a chance of winning anything? The Carabao Cup, FA Cup?
Absolutely no chance.
Absolutely no chance. Okay, there we go. Jeff.
5th. And we'll win the FA Cup, and I'll get a tattoo.
5th and win the FA Cup, and you referred it here first. You'll win a tattoo. You'll get a tattoo if we win the FA Cup. Fantastic. Pablo.
I think anything top 6 is definitely out of the question. I'd say you're probably languishing with the Champions League and the amount of games we're playing. The Isaac situation, I'd probably be looking at 8th at best, 8th, 9th.
Okay, Al-Walid.
Well, I believe 4 to 6 in the league, and FA final and knockout stages in Champions League.
Thank you, Magnus.
Yeah, I think we're going to be battling for the title, and we're going to lose that battle to Man City, and we are coming second. And this is against all odds because we got our backs against the wall. It's us against the world. They've shown a lot of professionalism while this noise is going on, and I am feeling very optimistic, regardless of all the stupid noise that I'm listening to.
Okay. Tom.
Well, I don't know how our team can battle on 4 fronts. We're not deep enough a squad. We just aren't, and we're old at the back. So I don't disagree too much with Darren, even though I always disagree with Darren. So we need to strengthen the squad. We cannot fight 4 fronts. So how are we going to finish? It depends what Eddie has to prioritize. He can't try to win everything and compete and win in the Premier League. So I think he will prioritize the Premier League, and I'm saying maybe 7th or 8th would be a good season at that point. But I'm really looking forward to having the same conversation after the window closes.
Okay, Alan?
I'll be more optimistic than Darren for once. 9th. I think it'll be 9th. We might have a good run in the cup, but I think 9th, Steve. I can't see where, and that's been optimistic.
Okay, we will get George's opinion when we do the Amigos live on Wednesday, so we'll skip you, George. Barry?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I think from being on a par with the team that we had last season, with it's Isaac that's the issue. Alanga's a bonus. Ramsdale, I'm not quite sure about because I don't know whether he's better than what we had. I can see us achieving 6th or 7th. But I think, like the guys have said, to challenge to get anywhere in the Champions League and to compete in the Cup, with the squad that we've got as it stands, we're going to get nowhere. We just haven't got the strength and depth to cope. And I agree with Alan. I think Eddie will prioritise the Premier League because that'll be his aim, if nothing else, to try and get European football for next season. So I think we could, as the squad stands at the minute, we could get 6th, but that's at the expense of everything else. I don't think we can get anywhere in either of the Cups or the Champions League with the squad that we've got. I think we haven't got enough strength and depth. The minute we hit a couple of injuries, we will be absolutely wiped out.
Right. We ain't got a goal in the net. Goals win games. We ain't got
games. Yeah. Jules is in the chat tonight. She has set up a fantasy football league, and there is the code to join the league: 6EJ739. And she's also set up a Super 6, and the pin for that is P5EU29. If you do miss that, don't forget you can just play the show again, and you'll be able to find it, take a screenshot of it. But please join them, because Jules puts a bit of time and effort into setting them up, and they're usually good fun. Don't forget as well, you have until the 31st of August to subscribe for the NUFC Matters fanzine. It is £25 a one-off fee for 4 issues, and those issues will be delivered to you throughout next season. All proceeds going to Age UK Dementia North Tyneside. That's it, guys. I will be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, with an Ask Stu Penman. Stu doing an hour on his own tomorrow, which will be great. The Amigos this week will be live, and it'll be on Wednesday night. And then the Thursday night show is Ask George, and that'll be what time did we say, George? My memory's shocking today. 10 o'clock, I think, in the morning, or 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 10.
There we go. Yeah, 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. That will be live as well. So there you go. You've got plenty of live shows to look forward to. We will play out with the advert, but it is thanks to Darren, Jeff, Pablo, Al-Walid, Magnus, Tom, Alan, George, Barry. Thanks to you in the chat. Thanks to you at home. Take care, everybody. And if you are watching on Twitter,
keep smiling, boys. Keep smiling.
If you are watching on Twitter, please jump onto YouTube, search NUFC Matters, and hit the subscribe button. Take care, guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatters.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatters.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk.